Successful leaders have more than analytical smarts. They have emotional intelligence, the true stuff of success. Leaders with high EQ have the ability to lead transitions, build cohesive teams, and be effective even under pressure. Welcome to Leading with Emotional Intelligence with your host, Esther Orioli. In this program, you'll learn how to play to your strengths, manage your vulnerabilities, and lead by example. Now, here's Esther Orioli.
Welcome, everybody, to Leading with Emotional Intelligence, coming to you live from San Francisco, California. Today's show, Measuring the Mood, critically important, ridiculously simple, is focused on three incredibly potent messages. The first one, mood matters. Whether you're walking into a restaurant, a retail store, or an office, the subtle or not so subtle mood of the place makes a powerful statement about the organization, its products, and the people who work there. This first impression can influence how long you stay, what you'll say to others about that experience, and whether you'd ever return. The second message is that moods are not accidental. Moods can be intentional and once set are a powerful mechanism for profitability. And the third message that I want to get across today is that when it comes to the workplace, the most significant factor that contributes to the climate and tone of the environment is the behavior of the manager. Managers and the leaders above them, intentionally or not, set the mood and the standards for the people who report to them, thus dictating by proxy how clients and the public feel about the service they receive and the organization as a whole. My guest today is Jeff Patnaude, an author, speaker, executive coach, and business leader who has dedicated his work to understanding and developing leaders and the moods they set in the workplace. We'll hear from Jeff in just a few moments. Welcome back, everyone. We are talking about measuring the mood, how the mood of the team and the climate and tone that managers set influence the impressions that your clients and customers get, the experience they have with your products and services, and the stories they tell in the world about it all that can determine your future. Now, with me today is someone who is passionate about leaders and leadership. Jeff Patnaude is an author, speaker, executive coach, and business leader, bringing together the worlds of work and spirit. He is the founder of the Patnaude Group, which for 23 years has been using Jeff's revolutionary inner management principles as the cornerstone of their work to address issues of work-life balance, developing mentors, creating healthy work environments, and teaching and coaching others toward developing transformational leadership qualities. With degrees in psychology, theology, and education, Jeff has been described as the Leonard Bernstein of leadership development. Welcome, Jeff. I'm so delighted to have you on the show today.
Thank you, Esther. Delighted to be with you.
So, Jeff, let's start with a few questions about you and your work. Now, I know that you coach many executives and have worked with senior teams in a number of major corporations around the world. How important, from your view, would you say that mood really is?
Well, mood or attitude has proven to be key to the productivity and the importance of people's work relationship and with each other. And certainly the behaviorists have proven since the 50s that the manager's behavior can contribute to 50 to 65% of others' productivity. And therefore, the mood of the leader is an energy that can be distributed rather fully throughout an office space or even virtually. And in today's world of virtual teams, the attitude and how we communicate virtually is as important as what we do in a confined office space. And so the mood and the attitude of the parent We've learned as children it's important as we come home. My dogs on my farm in Virginia all know what kind of mood anyone is in. It was Rupert Sheldrake who actually, in his book, Your Dogs Know When You're Coming Home, and he was a physicist, of course, and a scientist who created the morphogenic field theory. So it wasn't just a book about dogs. They can pick up your energy and your sense and your mood and your attitude. So we are just as keen, and we can do just about the same.
Mm-hmm. Well, dogs have a very highly developed limbic system. So they are, in that emotional intelligence way, tuned in a very heightened way, more so than human beings are, for sure. So, you mentioned this thing about virtually. It just kind of struck me as you said it, that we're setting a mood not just with the people and the offices that we're interacting with on a day-to-day basis, but in a virtual sense. Can you say a little bit more about how leaders set mood through virtual communications, and what does that look like exactly? Are you talking about emails, or how is that mood getting set?
Well, certainly one of the basics around email is watching rage or anger, capital letters, colors of letters. That's almost part one. When you get into telepresence, for instance, which I use with my clients at Cisco Systems in particular, you have to very much pay attention to the quality of your voice. You're in full screen of your client. You can watch every nuance of their facial expression, and therefore you're communicating electronically an energy that is different, certainly, than being in the room with a person, but it's close enough that you can pick up the nuances that suggest an attitude or something going awry or something going well. So, and even in audio, just audio like we're doing currently, the tone of voice is unique to us, first of all. There's no one on the planet that has a voice like ours, just like a thumbprint is uniquely ours. And the quality of voice says so much about your passion, your confidence, your caring, your kindness. All of those things about you is expressed through tone of voice. And one of the defining factors of great leadership that was proven by the Center for Creative Leadership is caring. And caring is expressed through vocal tones, through smiling, eye contact, facial expressions, and certainly being timely as well. That's one of the ways in which we care. So virtual communication and communicating emotional intelligence through that medium is certainly something that we really need to pay attention to today. And we actually are in the process now of developing a course right at this moment to train others on how to communicate virtually effectively.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be the wave of the future, and we'll be doing more and more of it for sure. Now, Jeff, in one of your books I was reading that you said that the role of the manager is to create environments. Okay, so I understand about interactions and body language, tone of voice, which we've just been talking about. But in terms of creating environments, you talk about doing that where people can be well and do well. So what do you mean by that?
Well, being well allows us to be fully present at work. And my book, Living Simultaneously, Balancing Self-Care, Personal Relationships, and Work, all three circles are affected by one another. And so being well, self-care, is critical for developing intimate relationships and for being fully engaged in our work, which I equate that with purpose in one's life. Mm-hmm. And so being well is very important, and I have told thousands of managers over the years, first of all, you do not manage people. You manage your behavior. That's it. And secondly, you manage an environment where people can be productive and be better when they leave this company than when they entered. So managing others' behaviors is a foolish notion. We don't. We can only manage our own. But creating an environment of light, space, color, music, openness, flow, laughter, all of those things are just what we do as parents. And we create environments of trust and love and hope through which the most special guest of our lives pass, our children, and then they are gone. Mm-hmm. And so the work environment has to be the same, and we have to help people be well.
So what would you say to leaders, and I know you and I both have them in our history, in our experience, what would you say to leaders who they hear us talking about this caring and about environment and light and sound and helping people to be present? How would you address objections that come from leaders who think that the best way to get people to do stuff, to get things done that they need to have happen, is by really towing a different kind of line and holding people feet to the fire to make stuff happen? How do we answer those objections by more traditional or harder core management styles?
Well, I have the privilege today of not working with those leaders anymore.
Good for you.
They're albatross, and I don't have time for them. Over the last number of years, last couple of decades, I've certainly dealt with many toxic leaders that have created toxic environments, but because of my background in counseling and psychology, I go to the heart of the issue immediately and try to detoxify the behavior of the person. And so I would say to that person, welcome to the new century and the new world of work. And if you're dealing with Generation X, you've got enough challenge. Generation Y brings you even more of a challenge in terms of what young workers are expecting from the workplace and how they can make a difference. They are not there because it's a network where you build up your years and you earn your keep, all of that old kind of good old boy attitude. They want to make a difference, and they want to do well not only in their jobs, but they're connected to the greater good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. So I'm noticing that we have an email that has just come in. And one of the things when people write to us, Jeff, everybody who writes in to protect everybody's anonymity and confidentiality, everybody who writes in who's a male is a Bob, and anybody who writes in who's a female is a Betty. So we have a Bob who just wrote in from Greenville, South Carolina today. Thank you so much for this email. He says, what is Jeff's opinion about how the mood of the leadership of the company impacts the work environment? And should we all wear mood rings so people can tell the moods we're in? That's a good question.
They should use the EQ map and test their entire environment so they can buy your product and find out about the emotional intelligence of the entire community.
I couldn't agree more.
Well,
thank you for that.
If you live in Greenville, South Carolina, you should be a happy person in the first place because it is one of the most loveliest towns in America, and they've been in a lot of magazines recently. So kudos to the mayor who actually was behind most of that. Certainly, the leader of a company, just like I said before about a toxic parent, if they have not gotten their behavioral act together and their attitude is not consistent with their values, then they will be out of alignment, and they will create an energy of a work environment that is exactly the same. They will